Coleman, and I'm with Hydra Sailing Solutions, and I wanted to do a little presentation today on some of the analysis that we can do with GPS data, and this is a bit of the virtual coaching aspect of what we can provide and sit down and really help look at the performance of the boat through the water, and we can also compare it with other competitors' information, GPS information also. So this regatta here is a J70 Davis Island 1 regatta, and we have Al Poindexter that we're doing a little analysis for, and wanted to show a little bit of the first race and what went on during that race. So we can go in here and let's just look at his track for a second and just see what he did here. And you can see here that ended up starting and going up the right side on the first leg, and then just kind of went down the left side downwind, and then back up a little bit more, a little shift to the right for the third leg, and then pretty much looks like a righty on the way down all the way to the finish. So let's look at, if we compare this with SCAMP GPS data, we can look and compare boat speed, we can look at compare distance sailed. And if we look at, I've done a comparison here, let's look at this information. Make this a little bit bigger. So first leg, Al's average boat speed up that first beat was 5.25 knots. Scamp did it at about a 5.46. So Scamp was definitely going through the water about 0.2 faster up that first beat. And if you look at the distance sailed, Scamp actually sailed a little bit farther distance. And when we look at the live track, we can see that even though they ended up just being about at the same place up at the windward mark. Second leg is what's very interesting here is if you look at Scamp's boat speed downwind, they were doing about a 6.6. And Al was doing about a 6.2, which is almost a half a knot slower, 0.4 knots slower. So something significant there that we need to look at. And they also sailed a little bit farther distance. So we'll look at that real quickly through the analysis. So let's go back on over there and take a look. Get this back up on the screen here. See where she went. There we go. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to make this, you can see we shut this off, and let's do a round. And let's just watch a little bit of the first beat. So I'm going to play, it'll be a little bit faster mode, but you can see down here they're going to get ready for the start here. And Scamp actually has to do, looks like they were over, so now they've done their circle. And now they're both going upwind. It looks like Scamp's just maybe a little bit behind Al. Looks like they're both in phase a little bit with the wind shifts that's going on here. Again, Scamp going a little bit faster through the water. But I think the distance sailed, let's see what happens here. Very, very close, very close. Very close all the way through. So I think if you look from the distance sailed, both boats sailed about the same time getting around the windward mark for the distance they sailed. So Al may have picked up just a few bitter shifts. Hard to tell because we don't know, what the other boats are doing. I know both these boats are in the middle of the pack right now, which makes things very difficult. But let's look downwind. Downwind's very interesting. Scamp goes, Al does a little bit of a circle there and then gets going. But if we pause right here for a second, let's back up this up just a little bit. So I'm going to go back up into here. Right now, if you look at Scamp, they're doing 6.5s, 5.7s, and their average on that leg was 6.6. So let's take a look, and Al's average was a 6.2. It looks like Al's actually sailed a little bit lower then Scamp to tell me that maybe he's in a little bit too deep of a low mode. So we want to kind of keep an eye on that. So let's continue on here for a little bit and see what happens. Scamp jibes out. Looks like they got a little, they're going to get a little header here. Just pause here for a second. So now Al goes into, gets a little bit of a knock coming in here. Comes down, and the distance sailed. Al did sail a little bit longer distance here. So that's probably the case here with this last little lefty here and just coming back down on the bottom side of the leg. You can see now he gets lifted, a little bit of a knock, maybe deep and slow there. So let's look at that real quick. Let's back that up just a little bit. Let me pause it here for a second. So let's back him up right in there. He's doing 5.8. Slow this down a whole bunch. Let's back him up just a little bit. 7.466. So it looks like he just got a little bit, maybe because of the winds. Looks like he's down leeward of the boats going upwind. So that's something to think about is when you come in for the last jibe, you want to try to be to windward of all the boats surrounding the leeward mark. You're going to get bad air. So just trying to think about that setup coming in. Obviously, there's a lot of other boats going on, but best practices is to try to jibe inside of the boats that are coming upwind after they've rounded the mark. So they've moved the windward mark to the right a little bit. You can see up at the top there. So let's see what happens here. Al comes around, does a right gate in an immediate tack. So maybe just, you know, if you're going to do a 180-degree jibe around the mark and then an immediate tack, that's a lot of boat speed to scrub off coming around the mark, doing 180-degree and then tacking. If it would have been better just to go to the other mark if it was clear and just hardening up versus a 180-degree turn and attack. Always thinking about those options, but that was a very large maneuver for a lot of turning and probably ended up being very, very fast for them. So let's continue on here a little bit. Speed this up just a little bit more. A little knock there. So if we look at the data for leg 3, Al was at about a 5.37 and Scamp was at about a 5.4. So just a little bit, just a tenth or so off on, let's see what we got it right here. So third leg, boat speed 5.3 to 5.4. So just a 1/10 under, a little bit better than leg 1. So maybe clear air, but definitely not bad, you know, comparatively speaking. Distance sailed though. Let's see over the other side there. Distance sailed. Al sailed into 2.0. He sailed about 2.2 of a kilometer farther up that leg. And so let's kind of play it on now here. Around the mark, Scamp goes. Al sets up, does immediate jibe. Maybe gets a little lift here. It looks like a lift in that angle there. See, it's a pretty much, not sure why they jibed here. Maybe there was boats in front of them, but you know, it looks like the wind has gone back left again. If they're on starboard all the way down here, I would have stayed on here a little bit more this way. If you would have gotten a little bit of the wind shifting back, which it happened down here a little bit, you would have picked up a little more. So making that first jibe when you're going to spend most of the time on starboard, really have to ask yourself really quickly what happened there. All right, so that's the analysis of Race 1, Davis Island. Again, it's Martin Coleman, and this is Hydra Sailing Solutions, which is a service that's providing virtual analysis to help you and your team perform better and reach your sailing goals. Thank you very much.